How WWE should book AJ Lee. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers, talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, we're going to go over some thoughts, some wish lists, some dream opponents, what we think is going to happen at WrestlePalooza. Obviously, biggest return in I don't know how long, right? That got people into wrestling. People go away from wrestling. She comes back. They come back. Childhood. Now you're adults. I mean, that's all
us.
there.
That's us.
It's all there.
Your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Yeah, she's back. AJ Lee's back. She's all the buzz. Everything to talk about in the WWE right now. The rest of the WWE is kind of going in circles, right? We're doing the same thing every week. Yeah. So we're going to talk about AJ Lee and how WWE should go ahead and book her. Let's start with WrestlePalooza coming up week from Saturday, I believe.
Yep,
I think.
the 20th.
Make sure to be on our live stream for that because we'll be live streaming at youtube.com/CODWrestlePod and Raw and SmackDown. Let's get it in there. Mixed tag match. Let's start with that. AJ Lee mixed tag match with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Obviously, she's teaming with her husband, CM Punk. We start her booking out by her winning that match, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a 0% chance, I would say, that they lose this match. I would be interested to see kind of how the match goes. If there's a good idea that we had, I think that Punk and her could both make Rollins and Becky kind of tap at the same time. But as time's gone on, and I thought about it a little bit more, they've really kind of leaned into like Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins being at odds a little bit here, like on Raw with her pushing the camera, him being like, "What did I do?" And then later on, when he accepts the match, she's obviously upset that he accepts the match, sort of thing, right? So I think it would be great if Becky ends up tapping and then her and Rollins kind of be at odds a little bit. That's just how I would do it.
You kind of had a light bulb situation go off in my head right there because I'm with you. I've been all up into the impression of like, we're going to get the Black Widow from AJ, maybe even from Punk too, but I think it'll be Black Widow from AJ and Anaconda Vice from Seth, or from Punk to Seth. We get a double tap out. But as you say that, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to be at odds with each other. And that's a way to just have Becky kind of leave the Vision. Like we just do this Becky into the Vision thing just for this match. We just had Becky reinsert herself into the Vision thing for the purpose of bringing AJ Lee back, for us getting this match, and then we can split off and do the Becky stuff away from the Vision again, maybe AJ over there as well. But that feels like a natural progression of things where then after WrestlePalooza, not only is Becky back just strictly in the women's division, but you can also bring back the Bronze back over to the Vision since the last PLE, they've kind of been separated from Seth Rollins. So I kind of like that idea. You have them butt heads. Becky loses the match via some AJ move. And then you have Becky kind of split away from the Vision, go back to being that separate from Seth.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't have to be fully, right away, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the break. But I would be interested to see, because I know Rollins continues to say, like, well, I could do this on my own, right? He said that before Clash. Well, obviously he had a plan B. I think it'd be really interesting if maybe you had the Bronze still away, you had Becky away, you have Paul Heyman away, and Seth kind of goes about it his own way, and then maybe that's a way you can introduce the fourth member, and then it all kind of comes back in at the end.
Yeah, either way, we'll get on with it. WrestlePalooza predictions will probably be a next week thing because, that'll be going to the show. But let's stick to AJ Lee here. Let's talk about after this. After WrestlePalooza happens, it is looking like, she came out basically as the Intercontinental Champion last Monday when she skipped out there with the belt that she had stolen from Becky. Is that what we're going to do with AJ Styles right after WrestlePalooza? Send her toward the IC scene? And should she be the one to take it off of Becky?
Well, you said AJ Styles. I think you mean AJ Lee.
Oh, yeah.
He can take the IC title too, I guess.
Should AJ Lee be the one that ends up taking the belt off of Becky Lynch?
I think so. All jokes aside, I think it's time to really kind of look at that. That is kind of the money feud. I think for a little bit there, we thought maybe a Bayley Becky was going to be the route, but then you see this and you see just the magic that this is, and it's kind of like a lightning bottle, right? You're like, okay, boom, there's the electricity. That's what I want to see. Like, it's a real jolt. And so I don't know why you wouldn't do this. I feel like it's the easy thing. It's right there, obviously, with Bayley and Lyra on their own thing. It looks like away from the IC title as well. You could really kind of have this be a nice, solid feud. Eventually, you can have AJ take that title off of Becky, and we have kind of talked about Becky going on to some other things maybe. I feel like that's just the natural progression, and it just makes sense, and it's something people want. So if you don't do it now, when would you do it?
Yeah, I've been somebody who's very outspoken about, I love what Becky's done to the IC title. I feel like it's the most prestigious women's title that they have right now by far, honestly. Even with Tiffany being the longest reigning champion, I just think that SmackDown and WWE have failed her in a lot of aspects. So that IC title does feel like the it belt. And because of that, I always felt like you really want somebody to break through and get that, maybe like a Stephanie Vaquer down the line, depending on what she does at friggin' WrestlePalooza. But somebody new, up and comer, something like that. But then this is a special circumstance. I never saw AJ Lee coming back into the picture. Of course, go ahead and give her the Intercontinental title. I mean, she's the longest reigning Divas champion. Or no, she's not. She had the best Divas reign of all time, right? She's a proven champion. That's when she did her best work, was when she was champion, when she had that belt. Why not just go ahead, do the parallel thing where the husbands are fighting each other and the wives are fighting each other. You can kind of tell the story in parallel, and eventually AJ is the one to take the belt off Becky.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you look at also like I said, it elevates Becky where Becky kind of needs to be. Not saying that that's like beneath her, that IC title, but I feel like she's almost done everything you can do for that title.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a perfect situation.
Agreed. Well, we will look even further, though. I mean, right now she's been on SmackDown and Raw. She is doing a Raw feud, I guess, at WrestlePalooza, considering Seth and Becky are Raw superstars. But we sit there and we look at SmackDown, and especially us on a weekly basis on our reviews of SmackDown, we're always like, damn, they've got nothing there. We're just going boomeranging Nia Jax and Jade Cargill back into Tiffany Stratton over and over and over again. Do we think that maybe AJ Lee belongs on SmackDown? Would that be a good thing to do?
Well, I think the question to that is, when would you do it? I think that's kind of a big thing. I think right now, immediately, no. I don't think she should go to SmackDown. I think if you go to SmackDown, that's maybe a post-WrestleMania thing. I mean, I think it's far down the line. I think, obviously, if you look at moving her to SmackDown, Punk's got to go to SmackDown as well. I don't really think that that's anytime soon. Maybe depending if Punk wins the Chamber and or a Rumble sort of thing, like you can kind of have him challenge a Cody, right? And maybe that's how you get them over there. But right now, I would say no. You could have her be like the savior of the SmackDown women's division, but the only problem with that is there's nobody really over there for her to feud with. And that's kind of the thing I thought about. Like, yeah, on the, you just look at it, you're like, yeah, that'd be great. It really gives people a jolt. But then you look at the people she could wrestle with, and I'm like, I don't have a whole lot here.
Yeah, I keep her on Raw until it's proven that she can go again. I mean, I have no doubt. I'm not sitting here saying that I think that AJ Lee is going to have to break off a bunch of ring rust. But then again, it's been over 10 years. If she has to break some ring rust off, all to you. Go for it. You need some time. And with that said, I do think that we should just keep her on Raw. Keep her in the Becky story a lot. Just kind of really fully fledge that one out. Let's let Becky give her ring rust moments and kind of have that feud circulate. If you want to give her to SmackDown, let's do that maybe Rumble time at earliest. Maybe you can set up some sort of feud during the Rumble like they always do. I mean, you could also have her win it. I don't know. But you could do a Rumble feud coming out of Rumble, and then maybe that's how you get her over there. But let's definitely start her out on Raw with CM Punk for the time being.
Yeah, and as we'll get to here in a minute with the feuds we want to see, top 5 answers kind of sort of. Like looking at my list, like I said, everybody I want her to feud with is on Raw. So I don't really want her to move over to SmackDown and there be nobody there.
Let's talk about it. We did, we had the same list of stuff here, things we wanted to hit. And we talked about our own personal 5 feuds that we'd like AJ Lee to be in. So go ahead and go first. Who would you like to see?
Yeah, my top one, my number 1 answer is Roxanne Perez.
That was my top answer.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised, a little shocked. Yeah, I mean, the writing's just kind of on the wall there. It's pretty evident, right? Roxanne is obviously the big AJ Lee fan growing up, and, they even joke on social media with like mom and daughter and that sort of thing. I mean, it just makes sense. Right now, it's really hard, especially. This is one that you could probably do somewhat quicker than maybe some of these other ones. Let's say that AJ Lee does take that title off of Becky. This could be your first challenger for AJ Lee for that IC title, because Roxanne is so good as that like heel, and then you have AJ. Nobody's going to boo AJ Lee, right? So you got to kind of do that. So maybe that's what they do in the meantime until maybe a Liv Morgan comes back to fight Roxanne. But But that's got to be number one on my list.
Yep, that was my number one, and it was ditto to everything you freaking said. I agree with you. I do think that the Becky Lynch feud, as we just talked about, should end with AJ Lee taking that Intercontinental Championship. And then I think just the natural progression of things should be Roxanne Perez going after that Intercontinental Championship. She can even have Raquel in the corner. I think that'd be a cool dynamic to have the huge Raquel with Roxanne, the lifetime AJ Lee fan, taking on little AJ Lee. I think that'd be so much fun. I think AJ Lee could do some really good work and help elevate both of them on the mic. Roxanne Perez, very good on the mic in NXT. Since coming to the main roster, really hasn't been given any opportunities. A feud with AJ Lee would give her that chance for sure. I will move on. I will say my number two, I had to say it. It's Nikki Bella. We're going to have Nikki Bella in there. You know why? Because it's cool that it's happening 10 years later. I would like to see these two have matured outside the ring a ton since then. A lot of people would say they're very different individuals than they were back then. That feud back then was really good, but AJ Lee always focused on the total divas, total Bellas aspect of things, the divas division part of it. She was always the anti-diva of the divas division. Now that doesn't exist. So how would that work? How would this feud, how would this rivalry work in a time where they're no longer divas? They're more, equals in terms of, the men and women in WWE. So I think it'd be a brand new take on an age-old feud.
Yeah, I have that as number two as well. Same things you kind of said, although I think that there's going to be a lot of callbacks, obviously, which some people might not like that, but it's kind of what you get a little bit, right? Oh, well, it's a feud we didn't think we would see again, so I would be excited to see it. I'm sure there's probably still a little bit AJ can kind of touch on, because I don't know if Nikki character-wise has really changed a ton since back then, right? So AJ could still probably come up with some of the same stuff, but like you said, it'll be interesting to see with all of these feuds, I think, as a whole, what kind of character does AJ kind of take on? So that's something I have as number two, because it's like, yeah, we're never going to get this again. And admittedly, I love the nostalgia of it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to move on to number three for me. I kind of had some other people written down, and then I kind of crossed some other people out and did some reshuffling. Number three, I have Bayley.
Okay.
So, and it's more of Bayley had talked about, at least previously, that AJ Lee came up with the hugger gimmick, right? Well, now you're getting the hugger gimmick combined with this role model, kind of nasty, split personality. I don't really know what to think of, sort of thing. But I think that could be a really interesting dynamic. As I said, nobody's going to boo AJ Lee. So if it's something that's kind of somewhat quickish in terms of maybe she goes after Roxanne, maybe she beats Roxanne, Bayley would beat Lyra, and then maybe that could be the next person after that. And you could kind of have them talk about the hugger gimmick, kind of lean into it here and there. Just something that I think is like a different view on things. Like if Bayley, that character, is really going to succeed, I feel like that would really help that out.
Yeah, I can 100% agree. She kind of has the Roxanne Perez thing going. Bayley was obviously there with AJ Lee at the very beginning of Bayley's career in the WWE, but in terms of her fandom, she's very outspoken and very, she's shown it off a lot that she's a huge AJ Lee fan growing up, and obviously she was a muse at the start of her actual WWE career, so you can kind of do the Roxanne Perez thing, but also do the, hey, I was a big fan of you, but while you were gone, I became a multi-time WWE champion. I'm a future Hall of Famer. I'm your equal now. So kind of you got to catch up to me now. That would be interesting, especially if they're going to do the split personality thing. You could really work that into the story. Bayley would be a very cool opponent for AJ Lee. I have a mixed tag team here I want to see.
I almost put one on mine, but I didn't.
Liv and Dom taking on AJ Lee and CM Punk. Do it 100%. First off, Liv and AJ Lee by themselves, that's money right then and there. Liv would go crazy, and who's the best at being crazy in WWE history? One of the best women crazy gimmicks ever, AJ Lee. So it'd be crazy versus crazy. And then CM Punk and Dom do this backstage hating on each other thing all the freaking time. Dom calls him an old head, calls him like 60 years old whenever he walks past him. So there's some real life like backstage drama and stuff between CM Punk and Dom. It would be a hilarious feud, and it's between four people who everybody loves. All of us would be eaten if that happened.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and get upset at that. They should really bring back the mixed tag challenge. Now you look at it and it's like that tournament would be stacked. Sometimes back in the day, you get some teams that you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why are these two people teaming together? But now with, everybody being, boyfriend, girlfriend, married, whatever the possibilities are, like they're so good. So yeah, sign me up for that. My number 4 one I threw this on there, and it is what it is. I got Rhea Ripley as number 4.
Yep.
I threw her on as terms of like, hey, AJ was the top diva or top women's wrestler when she was there, right? And I just really kind of want to see like her versus Rhea Ripley now, like how things have kind of progressed. I just feel like that's kind of like the natural progression sort of thing, right? It would be tough to really kind of build a feud, in my opinion. It would be really tough to get people to buy in one way or the other. It's kind of just like, hey, we love both of these people sort of thing. So I don't know how they would really kind of go about it that way. It might just be a match or two sort of thing, but that's just something I would want to see.
Yeah, I had Rhea Ripley as my number 4 spot as well. Not because of any story purposes. Like, I don't know how I would write the story between the both of them. But that's just something to where there was no Rhea Ripley when AJ was around. There wasn't anything close to a Rhea Ripley when AJ Lee was around. So how would AJ Lee even go about attacking that in ring? How would they tell their in-ring stories is more of what I'd want to see. So I just want to see the matches between the two. I think that's a dream match for me. So that's more the reason that I put her on the is list. Not because of story stuff, but because of what the hell would even happen when they get in the ring together.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, that one's probably the toughest one that I went with in terms of a story build.
And then my last one I went with was Asuka. Kind of the same reason as Rhea, but a little bit more with the story stuff too. I mean, I don't have a story to book them with in terms of AJ Lee versus Asuka, but at the same time, what I just said about how there was no such thing as a Rhea Ripley when AJ Lee was around. AJ was extremely good on a mic when she was around. There was nothing like Asuka, where Asuka she gets to say a lot, but she doesn't get to say, it's not the native tongue, right? And so she doesn't like have these long drawn out promos where you go back and forth. So I just think it would be cool to see what AJ Lee can do with that kind of opponent on the mic. And then, I mean, of course, Asuka is one of one in the freaking ring, and AJ Lee, we're going to assume that she's still AJ Lee, also one of one in the ring. Those matches would be amazing.
Yeah. I kind of cheated here for my 5th. I put 2 people.
Uh-oh.
That's how I cheated. One of them you already mentioned. I have Liv Morgan on here. Not only because the crazy element, but also Liv arguably is one of the top, women's wrestlers right now. Obviously she's injured, but she's really on this like heater, and I could just see her coming back. Those are 2 women that like, I talk about the Rhea Ripley stuff in terms of like both people would get cheered. Both people would get cheered here, but it'd be an interesting dynamic because like one week I feel like Liv could come out as the face, and the next week AJ could come out as the face. Like you could really flip flop with 2 tweeners essentially that are really good at both sides of things. So I think that would be interesting. And the other one I put is Charlotte Flair, just because of I feel like this could be a really easy storyline to build in terms of like, hey, you wouldn't have gotten all these title reigns if I didn't go away, sort of thing. You wouldn't be the GOAT. You wouldn't be the 14-time champ, that sort of thing. So super easy. And if that is something to where you move her over to SmackDown, Charlotte is going to be there. So that could be just an easy.
100%. I mean, that you're right. The easiest storyline to tell is like AJ Lee or Charlotte being like, hey, you left, and guess what happened when you left? I won 14 freaking championships. Like you left and you thought you were the GOAT, but I became the GOAT very quickly. I mean, that writes itself. And Charlotte Flair is getting over with the crowd right now. So it could be a good little rivalry in terms of fanfare too.
Yeah,
so
that might end up stopping it if that's the case.
Yeah,
but that's one thing that I thought
but
about. I was like,
but no, we like AJ. We don't like you no more.
Yeah.
We'll get on. We're gonna go to a couple personal booking wishes that we have for AJ. So this is just how we would personally book her, or kind of once. I'm gonna take this one first because I'm gonna say utilize Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee the same way you did Punk and Drew McIntyre. I want that exact same thing. When Punk came to WWE, got injured right away. We didn't get to see much, but when he came back full time and he was done with the injury, how did he prove that he still got the chops? The Drew McIntyre feud with stipulations, the strap match, the Hell in the Cell, the promo battles. I mean, it catapulted Punk right back to the number one scene in WWE. That's exactly what Becky Lynch and AJ Lee should be, I think. I think that we should do this IC title feud after WrestlePalooza, and it should be stipulated matches, drawn out promo segments, bloodbath, stuff like that. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. That was feud of the year. So if you could maybe stretch it out to maybe a Rumble if you want to do that, or if you wanted to honestly stretch it all the way out to a Mania if need be, you could do that. So yeah, sign me up for that. One of the wishes that I have in terms of a booking thing, it goes against kind of what I already said a little bit, but I have a tag team title run with Roxanne. So I think... and maybe that's what ends up leading to the feud sort of thing, right? But just their back and forth and the personal connection and everything like that Sign me up for something like that.
What about a tag team title run with Liv Morgan against Roxanne and Raquel? How about that? Because then you bring back Liv Morgan. She's a face, super duper ooper faces. Liv Morgan and AJ Lee take on Roxanne Perez and Raquel. And then they have to get the title some way, so they got to beat Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Who says no? Who says no?
I don't know. I'm sure somebody will say no. But I do want one title, like tag title run with her and Roxanne. I don't care when it is. I don't care who it's against.
I'm going to say one of my things, give her the few months, right? I would say give her to probably WrestleMania to be AJ Lee. Thank God we have her back, AJ Lee. But eventually, make her heel again because, good Lord, that's what AJ Lee was great at. AJ Lee was absolutely fantastic at being the heel, the talker. There's a reason that her and Punk got married is because they're so similar in that aspect of things, right? You can just see it. They very much mimic their characters when they're in their heel era back then before they left. They're so good at being a heel. They can cut you down from head to toe with your words. And I loved old heel AJ Lee. So once we get through this period of greatness of, oh my God, she's back. Obviously, we're going to love her till forever at this point. But once we get through that, I'm going to say WrestleMania. I'm just going to throw out an arbitrary date. Let's get AJ Lee back to being a heel down the line.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. I mean, it goes right with kind of like the Liv Morgan thing. I think that they could both, I'd really like to see a promo battle between those two. I think that would be fantastic. One of the things that I have that kind of goes with what you're saying after WrestleMania potentially, it doesn't have to be anytime soon. I don't care who it's against. I don't care how, but give me one main title run. And I know people are probably like, well, she's just going to come back and skip the line. Yes, that's exactly what she's going to do.
You're damn right.
And people are going to enjoy it. People are going to love it. So do that. Like I said, if she can have like this, even if she gets the IC title and maybe she ends up dropping it to Roxanne or dropping it to somebody, right? Yeah. Have her go up, have her, maybe Liv wins the Rumble, maybe Liv takes a title, and AJ Lee slides right in there, and she comes out, and she's the first challenger for Liv, something like that.
I mean, yeah, she needs a title. Mm-hmm. There's no argument for me down the line. That SmackDown's title. I love Tiffany Stratton. I'm not hating on Tiffany Stratton. We sit here many times, and we say Tiffany Stratton's going to be a many time champion in the WWE. She's young, hungry. It's all great. AJ Lee going over to SmackDown at some point in the next year and winning a title. Who says no to that? And leading that SmackDown's division by herself, basically, and putting over Tiffany, putting over Jade and everybody that she can. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, go on and on. That'd be wonderful to me. And then my last personal booking wish list. AJ's back. Bring back Paige. Bring back Paige. I mean, one of the best Raw after Manias ever, right? Paige makes her debut, beats AJ Styles, wins the championship. They made a freaking movie out of it, right?
I don't think she beat AJ Styles.
Hey, God, I keep saying AJ Styles.
I could be wrong.
AJ on the mic the other on Raw said that somebody else's name is AJ now. So, I mean, I'm one of those people. But she comes back, she beats AJ Lee on the Raw after Mania. It was a great moment and really started. That was the fuse that lit the women's revolution in the WWE. So Paige is a free agent now. We got AJ Lee back. Hell, we got CM Punk back. Two things we thought we'd never see. I think it'd be cool to have Paige reinsert herself into this and have another AJ Lee Paige fight feud.
Yeah. I mean, as long as she's healthy and willing and able and she wants to, bring her back. Yeah, that could even be your AJ Lee tag partner. And you're like, well, how would that make any sense? I don't know. It'd be cool though.
Yeah, it would be.
Why not?
It would be.
You can fantasy book all these things.
All right, and then our very last thing here, looking very much forward, assuming that she's still great. So we're going to assume that AJ Styles in ring. God, AJ Lee in the ring. We have an AJ Styles counter. AJ Lee in the ring. We're going to assume that she's the way that she was, right? Her ring rust is gone.
We're going to assume she's great. Phenomenal.
She's phenomenal, AJ Lee. Any chance that they give AJ Lee the Royal Rumble, the Elimination Chamber this year?
I'm going to say, I'm going to say no.
Ooh.
So I'm going no, strictly based off of I think she does take that IC title off of Becky.
Okay.
If she does have that IC title, obviously you're not giving her the Rumble or the Chamber win. So I'm going to say no on this one. I think Punk gets a Rumble or Chamber, but I don't know if AJ Lee does. AJ Lee might be going for that women's IC title at WrestleMania. That might be what they do. They might drag it out that long. I just think there's maybe some other, options that kind of make sense storyline wise. And if Liv Morgan is going to come back the way, we all expect her to, that automatically takes one spot up. So you're kind of stuck into one. Also, don't forget, there's still Rhea Ripley somewhere hanging out some way, somehow. That sounds like maybe that's a Chamber win. So go ahead and I'm going to say no on this one, but I'm going to give her the women's IC title, which I mean, you could argue is better at this point.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could argue that. I'm going to say no chance at the Rumble, and I don't think she should win the Rumble. I don't think you should come back and immediately win the Rumble. That's too big of a spot, and I've already got my hopes up for the big Liv Morgan return at Rumble. I think that would just write itself. It'd be amazing, but we'll see. How her health goes. I'm going to say no to a Chamber 2, but that's a more realistic option here. If they're going to do it, that's like April time, or maybe not April, March. I don't know when it is. It's close to Mania. By then, we'd have many, many months of AJ Lee under our belt. And another one on the AJ Styles board. And like you said, she may be IC title by then. If she has the Intercontinental Championship still, no. But if she somehow doesn't have that belt and we're going into Chamber time and she's got a spot, it's going to be hard for me to vote against her unless there's probably a Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair thing happening around that time.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential. I don't know. There's potential that you could honestly have, if she doesn't have that IC title, I could really see her and Punk both winning Chambers.
That'd be cool.
Which, I mean, they could both go on to WrestleMania.
Celebrating.
Yeah.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah.
That'd be nuts. Anyway, AJ Lee is back, and it's absolutely spectacular. Let us know in the comments how you would book her, all this stuff that we just said. Who would you want to see her feud against? What are your personal wish list items and all that good stuff in the comments? We'd love to see them. Then for everything else, make sure to stop by our live streams, Raw, SmackDown, and PLEs like Wrestlepalooza, youtube.com/COD WrestlePod. And then for everything else, at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. We have a link tree in our bio. It'll take you to all of our stuff, all of our TikToks, Instagrams, Twitters, all that good stuff. We would really appreciate you guys following and subscribing to all of that. But I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.